Today we're breaking down Cochrane's June 2025 market report. If you've been watching Cochrane's market, then you know that it's been on fire. And June's data tells a fascinating story about where we're headed. If you're buying, selling, or investing here in Cochrane, you need to hear these numbers. Let's dive right in. So Cochrane had 101 residential sales in June. That's up 1% from last year. So showing solid, steady activity. Here is where things get interesting. Inventory jumped to 269 listings. So that's up a massive 30% since June 2024. New listings hit 171. That's up 31% year over year. The overall residential benchmark price here in Cochrane reached $593,700. So that's up 2% from last year. So that benchmark price is still increasing. That's higher than many surrounding communities as well, and there's a good reason why. So detached homes are where Cochrane really shines right now. So at $686,200 as the benchmark price, up 4% year over year. We're talking about some serious value here. So we sold 60 detached homes in June, which is actually up 20% from last year. We're seeing more sales in June. But here's the kicker. Inventory is up 33% to 96 listings, giving us 1.6 months of supply. So that's still a strong seller's market when it comes to the detached homes here in Cochrane. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Is semi-detached homes, so duplexes, are flying off the market at $521,800 benchmark price. That's up 3% year over year. We had 20 sales in June, which is up 5% from last year, but inventory jumped 76% to 30 listings. So row houses tell a little bit of a different story. So at $448,700 as the benchmark price, that's up 3%. We only saw 15 sales, so that's down 38% from last year. But with inventory flat at 33 listings, we're looking at 2.2 months of supply, still a seller's market. Both categories are still in seller's market territory, but the increased inventory in semi-detached homes is giving buyers a little bit more options than, say, the row houses. So apartments are at the entry level into Cochrane, so that's at $346,700 for the benchmark price. And this is where we see the biggest price jump at 15% year over year. We had 6 sales in June, down 14% from last year. So even at the entry level, Cochrane commands a premium over neighboring communities, reflecting the desirability of this location. Let's talk about what's really happening with the inventory. So we're sitting at 2.96 months of supply overall. So that's right in that sweet spot. We're just leaning into that balanced market, still leaning towards the seller's market. But remember, 3 months is balanced. And as we creep into 4 months, we're looking at more of a buyer's market. So we are just creeping into that balanced market. The sales to new listing ratio is at 59%, which indicates we're moving toward that balanced market territory. So this is healthy. This is actually healthy for a long-term market. Looking at price ranges, the strongest activity is between that $600,000 to $800,000 range, perfectly aligned with Cochrane's detached home market. We're also seeing solid activity in the $400,000 to $500,000 range for the attached homes. So the luxury market, which is above $800,000, is quieter. So this is typical for today's current market condition across Alberta. Looking at the big picture, we've had 544 total residential sales year to date. So that's down 1% from 2024. The new listings are up 32% to 898, which explains why we're seeing more of that balanced market shift. The year-to-date sales to new listing ratio is at 61%, which is confirming we're moving more towards that balanced market than that tight seller's market that we're just coming out of. What does this mean? Well, for a buyer, you have significantly more selection than last year, especially in the detached home. So because we're leaning more into the balanced market, you have a little room for negotiation, but you have to be pretty decisive and move fast if you want to put an offer in. For sellers, your home will likely sell. It might take a little bit longer than we've seen in the past few years, but with 30% more inventory on the market, presentation and marketing really matter when you're listing your home. For investors, Cochrane's premium pricing reflects strong fundamentals, and with its proximity to Calgary, that really helps as well. As we head into the summer, watch for continued inventory normalization. So that's your Cochrane market update for June 2025. If you want to know where your home sits specifically in today's market, reach out to us and we can do a deep dive into your property. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you're notified every time we put out a video. I'm Angie Hartman with the Property Sisters, and we'll see you around town.